For some time now, Zuplo has made it very easy to take a REST API and turn it into an MCP server and do so adding all of your authentication and rate limiting and monetization options, just like we're doing with AccuWeather. Now, what about GraphQL? Well, today I'm excited to share with you our native GraphQL to MCP server support in Zuplo as well. And for this, I'm actually going to use, there's a beautiful Rick and Morty API. So let's just go and find this on Google. Here you are. And it has a GraphQL endpoint and a REST endpoint. And I want this to be the GraphQL server I'm going to put a gateway in front of. So let's just grab that URL. And then we're going to go into Zuplo here and we're going to create a new project that I'm going to use. It's an API management project. And we're going to call it Rick and Morty Demo. We'll make it empty for now. And that'll be ready in just a few seconds, actually ready for me to play with, typically in under 10 seconds. And what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll set up a GraphQL route. So I'm going to come into my routes document here. I'm going to add a new route. We will make it a post because it's GraphQL. We'll put it at GraphQL, it's the right thing to do. You'll give it a name, GraphQL. We'll give it a nice operation ID, also GraphQL. And then finally, we'll do a URL rewrite to that Rick and Morty endpoint. Notice we've got lots of policies here as well, by the way, for GraphQL. So you can filter types that are shown in GraphQL introspection on the way out. So if you want to change the introspection endpoint to have less types in it, you can use our filter for that. On the inbound, we also have some other GraphQL policies like complexity limit and disabling introspection altogether. You will need introspection for the MCP part to work, otherwise the LLM won't know how to invoke the GraphQL server. But there's ways that you can actually just filter it on the public endpoint and not on the when it's called internally by the MCP server. Now, what I'm going to do is just save this, and then guess what? We have a managed GraphQL endpoint. We've done it. There's no MCP server yet. We'll add that feature in a moment. I'm going to add some authentication. So we're going to add API key authentication to the GraphQL endpoint just by dropping this policy in. So create policy, save that. We will need to create an API key for that. We'll do that in a minute when we're setting up to call the API. One other thing I need to do is if we're going to expose this endpoint through our dynamically generated MCP server, I need to tell the MCP server that this is a GraphQL endpoint and that it's not a tool, a resource, or a prompt. And I do that here. So I come in here and I choose tool as the default. I choose GraphQL. I can customize the name and description of both the execution tool and the introspection tool. I'm not going to do that for now. I'll just take the default. They're fine. And I will now add my MCP server. So this is how easy it is to go from a GraphQL endpoint to an MCP server. I'll add that. I will choose the GraphQL to be included. Notice that we recognize this is a GraphQL endpoint. I'll click save, and in about 5 seconds, that means my new awesome GraphQL-enabled MCP server is ready. So to test it out, what I'm going to do is a couple of things. Let's go and use the OpenAI Playground. I like this as a place to come and play with MCP servers. And we're going to add a new MCP server. So I need my server URL. Let's just go and get that. That's here. Paste that in. I'm going to call this, let's see, MCP GraphQL. No, actually, let's call it Rick and Morty. And I need my API key. So let's just go and generate an API key over here. I'll call this test. And I don't need to do anything else right now. That'll generate my key. Let's copy that, stick it in my clipboard, paste it in here. And we should be good to go. So let's see if it finds the endpoints. Now notice what it's found is two endpoints. One is called GraphQL introspection. That's how the LLM will know to introspect the endpoint, and this is how it will know to execute the query. So let's add that MCP server. Let's ask it a question about Rick and Morty. So tell me, who was in season 4 episode 6 of Rick and Morty? What was the episode called? And let's just check I've got that set up correctly. So actually, if I come back to my code here, we should have my GraphQL endpoint. It's forwarding to the GraphQL. It's a post. It's looking good. So everything should be set up. It should be able to invoke my Rick and Morty. So it's expecting the tools. It's going to fetch that. The user wants to know. So now it's saying, okay, it needs to introspect. So it's going to introspect first to work out how to call it. And then it's going to execute a query. So I approve that because I've left the human in the loop option here. And there you go. It says Season 4, Episode 6. A lot of data there. Season 4, Episode 6 is Never Ricking Morty. And here are the people that are in it. Obviously, Rick Sanchez, Morty Smith, Tickets Please Guy, etc. You get the idea. So that is an LLM talking to my GraphQL endpoint enabled by Zuplo's dynamic MCP server functionality. And you can also check this out in MCP Inspector. So I'm just going to copy this URL. Oh, not the GraphQL one. I need the MCP one. Copy this. Drop it in here and connect, and we'll be able to see if we come over to tools and list the tools, you'll see those two tools ready to be invoked, etc. I didn't send my API key, so it's not working in this case. That shows that the authentication I put on the core endpoint, remember that API key auth, I put it on the actual GraphQL endpoint itself here, is carrying forward to the MCP server exactly as you would expect. GraphQL, MCP, Zuplo, boom.